Clap on here as well. Clap for syncing. Hi, this is Eli with Nugget Productions, and I'm here today with...
Hello, I'm Reece Bridger. I'm a voice actor from such games as Genshin Impact, Shadowverse, Tale of Food, and other sorts of projects like that.
How did you get into voice acting in the first place?
Well, every voice actor's journey is different, and mine started in content creation. My big brother Drew, he worked for about 10 years in a 2-screen cinema in Southampton, where we grew up, and he always used to come back with different stories about the customers from hell that he used to deal with. He also introduced me to a movie called Clerks, which is to this day my favourite movie. It's aged like milk, but I say that it's aged pretty well.
Why do you do things like that? You know he's only going to come back and tell the boss.
Who cares? That guy's an asshole.
Between those two things, he really inspired me to create an audio drama based on his stories with that slight surrealist edge, and I created an audio drama called Zoolaplex, and I decided I wanted to be one of the ensemble of characters in that. I decided I was going to be the voice of this kind of slacker douchebag character called Andy, and just to date myself completely, I went to Maplin's that day and I bought a karaoke microphone, non-branded, USB. I put it in a shoebox lined with bubble wrap, and I'm not even talking about good bubble wrap that would have actually made a difference, but like the big stuff that they package wine bottles in. Don't ask why I had so much of it lying around.
Someone saw this, I'm presuming, and then was like, I'm going to pick up this guy for one of my own gigs, or did you eventually go through like a bunch of auditions to find something?
Definitely auditions. I started out in Zoolaplex, and then I also was helping out my friend on his Gmod videos. There's actually the first thing that debuted my voice acting career is a video called ScoutCon 2014, and it's the first thing that I've ever done that had over 1 million views.
Incoming!
From there, I took part in auditions. I did some work for indie developers on websites like Game Jolt and Itch.io. And from there, it's building myself up and 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 up. Always auditioning, always networking. There is no such thing as a full-time voice actor. There is a full-time networker, auditioner, promoter, all of these things with a very, very well-paid voice acting habit.
And you mentioned earlier Genshin Impact. How did that come about? Was this more auditions, or was it someone approached you?
I can't speak to exact specifics, but it is networking. It is networking. It is about having that repertoire of work, having a good demo reel that proves you are able to be a viable asset to the production team, knowing who to send it to, knowing who to to contact, to be available for these things, and having a reputation that just makes you reliable. Reliability is one of the 3 key tenets of being a working voice actor. You need to have a home studio, obviously, a good home studio. You need to have good acting skills, you need to be good at what you do, but reliability and availability is always going to be that most third important thing.
What's your favorite role that you've ever done?
Oh, God. Okay, so, favorite individual role, I can't pick a particular individual favorite role, but I do have a favorite story in which I got a role. So one of the reasons that I actually wanted so much to be a voice actor was a little show on YouTube called Sonic for Hire. It was one of those things that like defined machinima, and I was enamored with that show as a teenager, and then a few years ago they brought it back. They brought it back for one more season, and then they brought it back for another season recently. But I emailed Lowbrow Studios, who were making Sonic for Hire at the time, and at the time they are. And I said, I'm a voice actor, I would love to be involved in this, and they must have had so many people sending in emails, because by the time they got to me, they were done saying no. They were done saying, no, we don't want to talk to... this is speculation, this is what I like to imagine happened. I like to imagine that by the time they got to me, they were sick and tired of sending emails to people saying like, oh no, we don't need voice actors, we do everything in-house, etc. Because then they got to me, like, yes, we've got a role for you. You're going to play this character. It's the new version of Tails from Sonic Mania. Like, it's a rebooted Sonic thing, and the Tails 2.0, he comes in, he has one line, he's a dick, and then he gets shot in the face. And literally, I think it was a joke. I think they were trying to, mess with me. And then I went in, I did my line, I got shot in the face, Sonic told me to stop talking, and I loved it. I was there for it. They will never be rid of me. I've worked with them so often since. They're stuck with me.
It looks exactly the same.
Seemingly, yes, but there's subtle differences that you probably can't notice.
No talkie.
Very much bringing back to the roots of being Andy the douchebag in your little series.
A little bit.
Yeah, just a little bit. Would you say that this was definitely one of the best roles, or the one that can top it easily?
So, growing up, I was always fascinated with King Arthur and King Arthur's Knights of the Round Table, all of the legends. And very recently, I was asked to join the cast of a game that it's not one of the most famous games in the world, but it is a very big thing if you're a voice actor to be involved in. It's an app-based card game called Shadowverse. There's a character in Shadowverse in the wider CyGames universe, the developer CyGames, called Gawain, and he is basically Gawain of the Round Table. Like one of his card names is Gawain of the Round Table, and they have had Gawain recorded several times throughout the years, and they were no longer able to get in touch with his voice actor from all those times. So they hired me to basically be the new voice of Gawain, and Gawain was my favourite Knight of the Round Table growing up. So this is like a bit of a dream role for me.
Of course, as having like an online presence as a voice actor, you're prone to getting comments. So what's like the comment that stuck with you the most, whether that be in person and online?
Oh, good God. Of course, every comment that you get is lovely. Even the bad comments are kind of good, because it makes you like, people cared enough to say that they hate me. People cared enough to say that my voice makes their glasses break in their hands. I think that the one that really, really, really just sort of solidified it for me is with one director very recently in a session that I had. He just looked at me, via Zoom, obviously, and he was like, just great work, Reece. This was like a third session that I've worked with him, and when you get to that third session, when you have imposter syndrome like I do, so often, there's like that little chain of progression on, like, you know, getting the next session. Like, the first session is, they don't know what they're doing. They've asked me, and they're going to make a mistake. I'm gonna mess this up. I'm not going to get a second session. The second session is, they just brought me back to fix all of the old stuff. I didn't do it well enough the first time, and then the third I'm not going to get the third session. The third session is, they're stuck with me. They're stuck with me. They've sunk too much into me. Now they can't go back anymore. We're past the point of no return. And literally to be in that third session and have him say, "We love working with you, and we're going to keep bringing you back." And I was like, it doesn't kill the imposter syndrome, but I don't think I'm going to get that fourth session. As much as they tell me I'm going to get that fourth session, I don't feel like I'm going to get that fourth session. But just to hear him say that, it kind of made me feel like I did actually deserve to be there.
And the imposter syndrome, you think, is something that will definitely affect not just current, but also future voice actors going into the industry?
If you don't have imposter syndrome, you're not a voice actor. I'm kidding. A lot of voice actors will get imposter syndrome. And that's just because of like how much fun it is, how great it feels. And, you know, a lot of people who are in voice acting, they come from backgrounds of, you know, not feeling like they've ever been enough. And that's not a universal story, obviously, but a lot of people do come from backgrounds of needing to impress, needing to be better, needing to, improve themselves and dedicate themselves to something. It's something that affects a lot of voice actors and actors in general. We don't quite feel like we deserve it. Imposter syndrome has always affected actors. It has always affected voice actors, and it will. But we will keep telling each other that we are valid and we are accepted and we are good enough at what we do, and we will never believe each other.
Did you ever have like a recording session in a booth where you're just like, I do not want to work with this guy, but he actually turned out to be like one of the nicest people that you met?
Not had that happen yet, actually. I've had my reservations going into things and had it turn out to be pretty alright in the end, but I've never kind of gone into the booth and been like, oh god, I really don't want to do this. And then it turns out, you know, in particular, this person's been amazing. I have had times when, you know, I've gone into the booth and been like, oh, I really don't want to do this, and it's been proven exactly right. But not often, thankfully.
Who's the person that you absolutely like would be your dream come true if you were able to work with them?
Oh boy. Franchise-wise, it has to be Borderlands. anyone to do with Borderlands. I think that the person I'll be speaking to would be Joel McDonald. And literally, Borderlands has influenced so much of my career, both as a voice actor and as a game writer, which is where I do most of my hours in a week. Just Borderlands 2 was so instrumental to my growth, like just as a professional and a creative. That literally, if I could ever get the opportunity to work on Borderlands in any way, shape, or form, I would literally, it would be a dream come true. It would be like, yeah, okay, kill me now, I'm happy, no regrets.
Don't say that, Claptrap's listening.
But funnily enough, I have like 6 or 7 roles that are literally directly influenced by my ability to do a half-decent Claptrap approach.
By the way, Borderlands 4's coming out soon, so keep that out. You'll be fine, don't worry. You said you're doing a lot of game writing now, so where's that going? You starting your own game company, or is that more something you're working with someone?
I do a lot of it freelance. I work on games like Cyberthreat, Bulletville, a game that I worked on for actually most of last year, came out recently, called Evil Wizard. And a big game that I worked on as a writer, it was a bit of a smash hit back in 2020 in Halloween period, and that was Pumpkin Jack. And that was a bit of a smash indie hit around Halloween 2020. And I'm working with the developer right now on their follow-up, AKIMBOT, which is a platform shooter with robots as the main characters. And I'm also doing all of the scratch audio for the whole game, and I've been doing that for about 1.5 years now, which is a lot of fun. It's hell on my throat, but it is a lot of fun to do the scratch audio for it.
And you ever write Easter eggs for it? Or like inside some of your previous roles, let's say?
Occasionally I've written 1 or 2 Easter eggs into it. The biggest one for Easter eggs and references is definitely Evil Wizard, which is very commentary on video games in general. Like, basically every other line is a reference to something. And I came into it very late stage, so most of the characters, most of the ideas, most of the dialogue, the plot line, etc. had already been established, but I was able to sneak in one major plot point and gameplay mechanic, which is a parody of Claptrap from Borderlands, obviously, with the idea that he is helping you get back your followers. And in Evil Wizard, of course, he's an evil wizard who has lost his castle and all of his minions, etc. So what he thinks at first, I've lost all my followers, they're all dead, all the heroes have killed them. It's like, no, it's his Twitter followers. So this robot is trying to help him get back all of his online followers, his Twitter followers, Facebook, all this stuff, by helping him do badass stuff. And literally, I think the part that sold it was when I pitched the character to the developers. It was the name. So it's this Claptrap parody character who is a social media influencer bot, and his name is Clapback.
Of course it's called Clapback. So I take it Claptrap's your absolute favourite character in all of Borderlands.
He's one of them. I mean, Claptrap is definitely up there, but also Handsome Jack. Handsome Jack is the GOAT. And I gotta shout out Lilith. Lilith is absolutely amazing. I do have a little bit of a soft spot for Maya. Maya is a really cool character. But I don't think there's actually a character in Borderlands that I don't like. Literally, even Ava. Ava, I know that the fan base gives her a lot of shit. I liked her. Sue me, I liked her. Don't sue me.
Well. So I take it you're a massive fan of games and stuff as well?
I am a massive fan of games. As a gamer, I find so little time. I want to play more games, but by the time I'm done with everything I need to do in a day, it's like, I just don't want to pick up anything. I don't. It's almost like that whole, that idea of like, if you work at something that you love, then you learn to work a day in your life. Not true. You work in video games, eventually you start to not like video games as much.
Do you ever find yourself just repeating the lines from games? Let's say Claptrap says something funny, you try to repeat it back to the computer.
I do. It's not even just particular lines or stuff that I've enjoyed from a particular character. Literally, sometimes if I'm watching something new and there's like, oh wow, that's a great performance, and I'll just try and recreate it. Or if there's something that doesn't have any voiceover at all and I just like the writing, I'll mumble it to myself and I'll be like, how would I do this in the booth? It's almost like practice. It is almost like practice, but probably the best kind of practice because no one's actually like keeping tabs on it.
I'm actually quite curious to hear this Claptrap impression you keep going on about.
I can't do it right now because I've had a bit of a throat thing because it was just from talking the last couple of days.
Yeah. Okay.
But literally, I've got let me think. Yeah, literally 6 roles in various games and media including Clapback. I was the voice of Clapback in Evil Wizard. So, literally, the impression has got me so far, and I just can't do it on the spot right now because of just how much I've been talking the last couple of days.
That's perfectly fine.
Yeah.
How are you finding the concert far, actually? Because you've been talking a lot with people.
Oh, it's been good. It's been a really good con. I mean, I did the Winter London in February, and that was good. It was on 3 days, obviously, compared to a 2-day one like this one. And they've both been so much fun. Everyone's been really welcoming. I've had some people come up and really notice some of the obscure stuff I've done, and even a couple of my original projects. So I'm like, oh my gosh, like everyone is coming out right now to support me, to support the convention, and I want to give it back. I want to give it back to them. The Q&A yesterday was really good, and I'm looking forward to the Q&A that we're doing today.
I'd say to finish up,
Yeah.
if you could go back in time to any part of your career, how far back would you go, and what would you tell yourself?
See, this is interesting because I don't believe in the concept of regret. Like, as like a religious principle, I don't believe in regret. But if there was any point in which I could go back, I would want to probably live it again. And that would be probably the moment when I got that email to say, we would like to request you for Genshin Impact. Because that was literally like an accomplishment. It was, because there's only 5 of us in the UK that have ever actually done voices for Genshin Impact, and we all came really quite close after each other. Chloe Eves was was basically the first, and they came in at the 3.0 release. I was the 4th, and I came in at 3.2. And there's only 5 of us in the UK that have ever been really invited because of how the industry works, how secular some of the trades can be, some of the studios can be, keeping it to LA, keeping it to Texas, anime especially, but also video games. Also, a lot of the studios prefer to be local. So just being invited to Genshin felt like an achievement. It felt like I'd overcome a barrier. I had jumped a hurdle, you know? And that is probably the moment I would want to just go back and just play that again.
What character do you voice in Genshin, just for everyone out there watching?
So the biggest role that I do voice is, at this point, it's a character called Hunain. He's an NPC, he's in the academia.
The Lord Harbinger is leaving. I've still only seen him once or twice.
His biggest presence is in Layla's Hangout event. Also, if you play one of the cutscenes from Nahida's story quest, there is just a guy that screams his head off for a big spoilery reason, but doing that scream was probably just the most fun.
The stream is spiraling out of control and it's collapsing now.
And I play a couple of Fatui soldiers following a scene in Port Ormos in Sumeru. And yeah, that was a lot of fun. Yeah.
Oh, well, thank you very much. It's been awesome seeing you.
It's been really good, thank you.